Evelyn Whitaker had buried her son 7 years ago. So why was Julian's silver compass necklace hanging from the neck of a homeless black single father outside her own glass tower? The limousine door was still open behind her. Security lights washed the lobby steps in cold white. Isaiah Brooks stood below them in a faded work jacket that still smelled faintly of machine oil and shelter soap, one hand around a cracked phone, the other near a paper bag holding his daughter's asthma medicine. If the guards handed him to police, he would miss his supervised visit with Naomi. If Evelyn looked away, the last piece of her dead son might vanish forever. "Thief," one guard said, twisting Isaiah's sleeve. Isaiah did not fight. He only lifted his chin. Then the compass pendant slipped open just enough for Evelyn to see 3 tiny words etched inside. Service door B. Before this story goes any further, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe if you believe a good father should not have to scream to be believed. Evelyn Whitaker, a white billionaire CEO wrapped in a cream-colored coat that looked untouched by the city, took one step closer. Isaiah's boots had split at the seams. Behind the glass, executives slowed in the lobby, coffee cups frozen halfway to their mouths, staring as if poverty itself had pressed its face against their building. "Where did you get that?" Evelyn asked. Isaiah looked at the necklace, then at the security guard's hand still gripping him. "I didn't steal it." The words came out low, not weak, not angry. Tired in the way a man sounds when he has spent years being accused before anyone bothered to ask his name. Victor Hale, Evelyn's chief operating officer, appeared behind her with a polished smile that did not reach his eyes. "Evelyn, don't engage. People study families like yours. You probably found a picture online." Isaiah's eyes moved once toward Victor, then away. He had learned not to stare too long at powerful men who wanted him smaller. Evelyn held out her hand. "Give it to me." For the first time, Isaiah stepped back. A small brass key ring clicked inside his pocket, the kind elevator safety technicians used before companies stopped calling, before addresses disappeared, before a father became a file number in family court. The guards tightened around him. A woman near the revolving doors lifted her phone to record. Someone whispered that he was dangerous. Someone else said he must be looking for money. Isaiah heard all of it and said nothing. His thumb brushed the edge of the compass twice, a small tap-tap, almost like a habit. Evelyn noticed. So did Victor. Isaiah checked the cracked screen in his palm. For 12. Naomi's visit was at 4:30 across town. He had promised her he would be there with the blue hair ribbons she liked, the ones he had bought from a dollar store and kept folded inside his wallet like they were made of gold. "Ma'am," Isaiah said, voice steady, "I don't want your money. I don't want trouble. I need to leave. You're wearing my dead son's necklace." A silence fell sharp enough to cut through the lobby. Isaiah's face changed. Not guilt, pain, the kind that rises before memory does. He looked past her at the elevators gleaming behind the glass, then at Victor's hand slowly closing around his phone. Then Isaiah said the sentence that stopped Evelyn's breathing. "Your son didn't die where they told you he died." The guard reached for his cuffs. Evelyn raised one hand. No, everyone turned to her. Her eyes stayed on Isaiah, on the compass, on the tiny words hidden inside the thing she had once placed around Julian's neck with her own hands. Then she gave an order no one expected. "Take him to the 72nd floor." And as the elevator doors opened, Isaiah looked down at his phone one last time, where Mrs. Delaney from the visitation center had just sent a message that said, "She's waiting for you." Before the elevator rose toward the 72nd floor, one image stayed trapped in the lobby below. Isaiah Brooks, a homeless black single father, standing under crystal lights with a dead man's compass against his chest and a custody message glowing on his cracked phone. The question was not only how he had gotten Julian Whitaker's necklace. The question was why a man with no room of his own had refused for years to sell the one thing that could have bought him a door, a bed, and maybe one more hour with his daughter. 8 hours earlier, Isaiah woke before the shelter lights came on. He did not need an alarm. Men who lived by court appointments, caseworkers, and shelter clocks learned to wake before the world had a chance to move them along. His cot was the third one from the exit, close enough to hear the metal door buzz, far enough from the radiator that his coat never fully dried. He folded his blanket into a square, tucked his faded work jacket under one arm, and checked the paper bag beside his shoes. Naomi's inhaler refill, blue hair ribbons, a peanut butter sandwich wrapped in a napkin because the shelter breakfast was never enough for a 9-year-old who pretended she was not hungry. The silver compass necklace rested beneath his shirt, cold against his skin. He touched it twice without thinking. Top top. The same small rhythm he used when his hands needed to remember calm. In the cracked bathroom mirror, Isaiah shaved with a disposable razor he had stretched too many mornings. He had a parking garage repair before noon, a supervisor threatening to cut him from the temp list if he missed another deadline, and a supervised visit with Naomi at 4:30 that could not be missed. Family court did not care about broken trains, low wages, or fathers sleeping in rooms full of strangers. It cared about addresses, pay stubs, clean records, proof. Isaiah had almost none of those things, except the kind that did not fit inside a file. Before leaving, he fixed the shelter's jammed laundry door because Mrs. Alvarez on the second floor had 3 children and a bag of wet clothes she could not carry back upstairs. He knelt on the concrete, old elevator technician's key ring clicking softly at his belt, listening to the latch before touching it. A half turn, a pause, a careful lift. The door opened. "You should charge for that," a man muttered behind him. Isaiah wiped grease from his thumb. Not every stuck door is a business. At the garage, he replaced a faulty relay on an elevator panel most workers would have cursed at. He did not tell the younger man he had once certified systems twice as complex in towers where men like Victor Hale rode upward without seeing who kept them safe. He simply tightened the final screw, signed the sheet, and slipped the cash into his wallet beside Naomi's drawing. It showed a crooked compass with 4 bright arrows and the words, "Daddy always finds the way." For 1 second, his face softened. Then his phone buzzed. Mrs. Delaney from the visitation center. Naomi had been asking since morning whether he was still coming. Isaiah typed back with 1 thumb. "Tell her I promised." Outside the garage, a black town car idled too long at the curb. Isaiah noticed the tinted window lower, just enough for a phone camera to catch the flash of silver at his collar. He stepped behind a bus shelter and pulled the necklace under his shirt, not from shame, but from an old instinct that said some things became dangerous the moment rich men noticed them. He bought the blue ribbons, checked the bus schedule, and chose the route past Whitaker Meridian because it was 10 minutes faster if the lights were kind. Outside the glass tower, a security guard was pushing an elderly delivery woman away from the curb, her grocery cart tipped sideways, oranges rolling into the street. Isaiah saw the bus approaching. He saw the clock. He saw the promise waiting across town. Then he stepped off the curb to help her gather what everyone else had decided not to see. When he bent down, the compass slipped free from his collar. Across the driveway, a limousine door opened, and Evelyn Whitaker stopped breathing. The private elevator rose so smoothly that the city seemed to fall away without sound, but Isaiah felt every second leaving him. His bus was gone. Naomi's visitation clock was still running. His cracked phone sat in his palm, with Mrs. Delaney's message glowing through the spiderweb glass. "She's waiting for you." Across from him, Evelyn Whitaker stood in a cream coat that cost more than 3 months of shelter fees, her eyes fixed on the silver compass under Isaiah's hand. Victor Hale stood beside her, polished and calm, the kind of man who could make an accusation sound like a policy. "Evelyn," he said quietly, "this is exactly how extortion starts." Isaiah did not look at him. He watched the elevator panel instead. The chime came half a breath late. Not broken, burdened. An old relay answering after years of being forced to carry weight it was never meant to carry. His thumb pressed once against the compass. "Something wrong with the elevator?" Victor asked, amused. Isaiah kept his voice low. Most people don't hear what keeps them safe. For the first time, Evelyn's face shifted. Not trust, not softness, just a small interruption in the anger holding her together. Then the doors opened onto the 72nd floor. Marble swallowed the sound of Isaiah's split boots. Glass walls held the city in every direction. Leather chairs waited around a table long enough for men to hide decisions at one end and consequences at the other. Assistants stopped typing. Lawyers looked up. A woman near the coffee station glanced at Isaiah's jacket, at the paper bag tucked against his ribs, and then at the necklace, as if poverty had no right to touch grief that expensive. Victor placed a tablet on the table and tapped the screen. Security footage appeared from the curb below. Isaiah bent beside the elderly delivery woman. The silver compass slipped free from his collar. The frame froze before the oranges rolled into the street, before the bus pulled away, before anyone could see the choice he had made. Frozen like that, he looked like a man waiting for Evelyn. There, Victor said. He positioned himself outside the entrance. He wanted to be seen. A few executives exchanged looks. One of the lawyers whispered, "Homeless claimant," as if those two words were enough to close the case. Isaiah heard it. His jaw tightened once, then settled. Evelyn looked from the screen to him. "Were you waiting for me?" "No, ma'am." "Then why were you in my building?" Isaiah glanced at the wall clock. For 11 minutes until Naomi would start wondering whether promises expired like everything else. Because a woman dropped her groceries, and everyone with clean shoes stepped around her. The room went quiet for the wrong reason. Not because they believed him, because the sentence gave them nowhere easy to laugh. Evelyn held out her hand. The necklace. Isaiah's fingers closed around the compass, not hard enough to threaten, only enough to protect. "It belonged to your son. I understand that, but was placed on me for a reason I still don't fully remember." Victor gave a short, polished laugh. Convenient. Isaiah lowered his eyes to the pendant. The little hinge, worn from years beneath his shirt, gave under his thumb. The compass clicked open. Inside, the tiny words caught the boardroom light. "Service door B." Victor's smile stayed in place, but the color left his face first. The words inside the compass were smaller than a fingernail, but they changed the temperature of the boardroom. "Service door B." Evelyn leaned closer, her anger suddenly forced to share space with something colder than grief. The possibility that Julian had hidden a message where only his mother would know the necklace was real. Victor's face recovered almost as quickly as it had gone pale. "An engraving proves nothing," he said. "Anyone with the necklace could have added that." Isaiah did not answer him. His eyes had moved to the paused security footage on the tablet, not to his own image, but to the reflection caught in the lobby glass behind him. The private elevator doors. The service panel beside them. One thin red light blinking out of rhythm. Top. Pause. Top. The same wrong timing he had heard on the ride up. "Run that back 3 seconds," Isaiah said quietly. A lawyer gave a dry little laugh. "Excuse me?" Isaiah kept his voice level. "The elevator panel. Not me. 3 seconds." Evelyn did not trust him. Not yet. But she looked at the screen, then at the compass, then at Victor's hand resting too close to the tablet. "Do it," she said. The room held its breath while the footage rewound. There was again the red service light, blinking once, holding too long, then blinking twice. Isaiah's thumb pressed against the compass, keeping it closed now, as if opening it too far might wake something he was not ready to face. "That panel is linked to a service route," he said. "If there was no service door B, that light would not answer that way." Victor's smile thinned. "He is guessing based on lobby equipment. That is not evidence." "No," Isaiah said. "It is a door trying to say it still exists." The sentence sounded almost foolish in a room built for numbers and signatures, until one of Evelyn's assistants pulled up an old maintenance index from the archives. Rows of codes filled the wall screen. Elevators, fire stairs, utility locks, mechanical access. Then the assistant stopped scrolling. For half a second, everyone saw it. SDB, restricted access. The line vanished as the system refreshed and threw up a gray box, file locked. Administrator permission required. Evelyn turned slowly toward Victor. Why would a door that does not exist need administrator permission? Victor did not look at her. He looked at Isaiah, and for the first time, the contempt in his eyes had something behind it. Fear, carefully dressed as irritation. "Because old buildings are full of dead codes," he said, "and desperate men learn how to sound useful." Isaiah's phone buzzed again. He glanced down despite himself. Mrs. Delaney, if you're not here in 10 minutes, this will be marked as a missed visit. His fingers tightened around the paper bag with Naomi's medicine. Evelyn saw the message. Something in her face shifted, just a fraction. Not belief, not kindness, only the pause of a powerful woman realizing the man she was judging was losing something in real time. Hold security, she said. Nobody touches the necklace. For one breath, Isaiah thought the room might finally listen. Then Victor's phone lit beneath the table, and a new headline appeared on 3 executive screens at once. Homeless man detained inside Whitaker Tower wearing dead heir's jewelry. For one breath, the boardroom did not move. Evelyn's order had stopped security. The necklace stayed in Isaiah's hand. The locked files still glowed on the wall like a door that had almost opened. Even the lawyers had gone quiet, because for the first time, the man in the faded jacket had not sounded like a homeless claimant. He had sounded like someone who knew the building better than the people who owned it. Then the headline hit every screen. Homeless man detained inside Whitaker Tower wearing dead heir's jewelry. Isaiah read the words before anyone spoke them. Homeless. Detained. Dead heir. They had turned his whole life into 3 knives and left out the old woman with the oranges, the missed bus, the daughter waiting across town. His phone buzzed against his palm. Mrs. Delaney was calling from the visitation center. The room watched him hesitate, and even that hesitation became something they could use. Victor's voice dropped. If he answers, he could be coordinating with whoever leaked this. Isaiah looked at Evelyn, not pleading, only asking for the smallest human space. It's my daughter's visitation worker. Evelyn's eyes moved to the cracked screen. For a moment, her face shifted, a thin fracture in the wall. Let him answer, she said. Mara Ellison stepped closer, careful and quiet. Evelyn, if a minor becomes part of this record, family court will see the headline before they see the evidence. The word minor changed the air. Isaiah's thumb went still on the compass. The call ended. A text appeared immediately after. If you miss this visit, the court will be notified. He looked at the clock. 4:26. 4 minutes until Naomi would start learning that promises could break without making a sound. A guard placed a clear evidence pouch on the table, too close to the compass. Isaiah's fingers closed around the silver. Not as a threat, as a promise. That doesn't leave my hand. Victor tilted his head. A grieving mother asks for her son's property back, and you refuse. Do you understand how that looks? Isaiah's shoulders did not drop. Something behind his eyes simply went quiet. Evelyn saw the paper bag with the inhaler. She saw the blue ribbons tucked inside his worn wallet. She saw the hands of a man trying to hold proof, grief, and fatherhood at the same time. Nobody takes the necklace yet, she said. It was not trust. It was 1 inch of hesitation. Victor killed it by turning the tablet toward her. A second post was already spreading, this one with a cropped image of Isaiah's hand around the compass. No old woman. No fighting oranges. No missed bus. Just his fingers closed around a dead heir's necklace. Publicly, Victor said, he now looks like he came here to exploit your son. Isaiah placed his phone on the table, screen facing up, so everyone could see he was hiding nothing. My daughter is not part of your story. His voice stayed low, but the room felt it. She's the reason I still have one. No one answered. Then Victor opened a folder that had been waiting beside his chair the whole time and slid 1 clean white page across the glass. Then choose her, he said. There's a way for you to walk out before this reaches the court. Isaiah looked at the page, then at the compass in his palm, while Naomi's unanswered message dimmed on his phone. Victor's page slid to a stop in front of Isaiah, like a door closing without a sound. It was not a confession. It was cleaner than that. Isaiah Brooks acknowledges he found the necklace among discarded property and makes no claim regarding Julian Whitaker or Whitaker Meridian. No questions. No B-17. No service door B. No son whispering through a compass. Just one signature that would let the tower stay tall and let Isaiah leave before family court saw his name beside another accusation. Evelyn read the line over his shoulder, and her hand stopped halfway to the pen. Mara Ellison's voice stayed careful. If he signs, the company can issue a limited correction. No charges. No escalación. Victor looked at Isaiah. This is mercy, Mr. Brooks. Isaiah stared at the paper. Mercy doesn't ask a man to lie. The boardroom went still. His phone lit again. This time, it was not a warning. It was a picture from Mrs. Delaney. Naomi sat in a plastic chair at the visitation center. Blue jacket zipped to her chin, hands folded in her lap where the blue ribbons should have been. Under the photo were 4 words. She says you promised. Isaiah did not touch the screen. If his fingers shook, they would make that evidence too. Evelyn saw the picture upside down. Something moved behind her eyes, but Victor moved faster. Sign, and we can tell family court you cooperated. Refuse, and every record in this room says you withheld stolen property. He turned to Evelyn, and if he knows restricted codes, that makes him more suspicious, not less. A soft alert came from the wall screen. The assistant had tried the locked archive again. File locked. Administrator permission required. Then, for less than a second index flashed before the system rejected it. SDB/lower mechanical access/CB17. Isaiah saw it. Victor saw it too. The compass felt cold in Isaiah's palm, but something behind his eyes flickered awake. B17. A metal door. A buzzing light. A voice too far away to reach. Not enough to remember. Too much to ignore. Evelyn turned to the assistant. Pull B17. Victor cut in sharply. No, not without legal review. His voice was calm again, but now it had edges. Either he signs and leaves, or we treat his knowledge of that location as evidence he was involved. There it was. The trap, clean as glass. If Isaiah left, Julian's last message stayed buried. If he stayed, Naomi's court file grew darker by the minute. Isaiah looked at his daughter's picture, then at the compass. The safe road was right there, printed in black ink. He pushed the page back across the table. My daughter can survive being disappointed in me today, he said. She can't grow up learning her father traded the truth for permission to see her. Evelyn did not look away this time. Victor's jaw tightened. Before anyone could speak, the boardroom doors opened, and a security supervisor stepped in holding a sealed report. Ms. Whitaker, he said, eyes fixed on Isaiah, we found an old access log for B17. His name is on it. For half a second, the sealed report looked like mercy. The security supervisor placed it on a glass table, and the first line did what Isaiah's voice could not. Isaiah Brooks, emergency maintenance contractor. Authorized access. Lower mechanical. B17. Evelyn read it once, then again, and the room seemed to tilt around the fact that he had not invented the code, the door, or the place the compass had been trying to name. Someone at the far end of the table stopped breathing loudly enough for the silence to notice. Isaiah did not smile. He only closed his eyes for one short moment, because truth arriving late was still late. Then Victor turned the page. Keep reading. The second line landed like a blade. Access time, 11:48 p.m. M. Exit time, missing. Property status, unresolved. Security incident, pending. Victor let the words sit there, polished and poisonous. So he was there, at night, around restricted property. And somehow, 7 years later, he appears wearing Julian Whitaker's necklace. The partial relief collapsed before it had room to become hope. Mara Ellison reached for the evidence pouch again. Evelyn, this now becomes a potential chain of custody issue. Isaiah heard the phrase and understood what it meant. They were not opening a door anymore. They were building a cage. His phone lit on the table. Mrs. Delaney. Missed visit recorded. Court review will be updated. A second message followed. A picture Naomi had drawn while waiting. A crooked compass with one arrow bent backward, and under it, in a child's careful handwriting, Daddy forgot the way? Isaiah's hand went still. Not his face. Not his shoulders. Just his hand, the one holding the silver compass. Evelyn saw the picture. She saw the blue ribbons still in his wallet. She saw the way he swallowed pain instead of spending it for pity. Victor saw it too, and moved faster. Sign the statement now, Mr. Brooks. We will tell family court you cooperated. Refuse, and this report goes with the headline. Isaiah looked at the paper that would save him for a week and bury Julian forever. Then he looked at Evelyn. Open B-17. Victor laughed once. You are in no position to demand anything. I'm not demanding, Isaiah said. I'm choosing what my daughter will learn about me. The room quieted again. Isaiah placed the compass on the table, slowly, carefully, as if setting down a sleeping child. Seal it if you want. Call me what you want. But open the place your son wrote inside it before you let him die twice. Evelyn's face tightened, as if the words had struck bone. Her hand moved toward the compass, then stopped. She was not ready to believe him, but she was no longer able to dismiss him. Run every archive tied to B-17, she said. Victor's jaw hardened. The assistant obeyed with trembling fingers. The wall screen filled with rejected files, broken links, dead permissions. Then one audio file appeared without a title, only a date from 7 years ago and a waveform marked by 2 sharp sounds at the beginning. Top! Top! Isaiah's thumb answered against the table before he realized it had moved. Evelyn turned toward him, and for the first time, fear entered her voice. Why you know that sound? The room did not answer Evelyn's question. The audio file did. 2 sharp taps filled the boardroom speakers. Top! Top! Isaiah's thumb had answered the same rhythm against the glass before his mind could stop it, and every eye turned toward him as if memory itself had dragged him back to that corridor. Victor moved first. Turn that off. Too fast. Too loud. Evelyn heard it. So did everyone else. Her hand rose, no longer cold, no longer certain. Play it. Static breathed through the speakers. Then Julian Whitaker's voice came out of the wall, younger than grief, weaker than any son should ever sound to his mother. Mom, if this records, don't trust the main report. Evelyn's face went white. Isaiah lowered his eyes, not in guilt, in recognition of a pain he had carried for 7 years without a name. Behind Julian's voice, a service alarm buzzed in the same broken rhythm Isaiah had heard in the elevator. He looked at the compass lying on the table. That's not a phone signal, he said. That's a lower mechanical relay. The door was trying to reset. Victor snapped, he's performing. Isaiah did not raise his voice. No, I'm listening. The assistant matched the audio timestamp to the B-17 access log. A second file unlocked from the archive. Not cleanly, not fully, but enough. Grainy footage filled the boardroom wall. A lower mechanical corridor. A young man in a white shirt stumbling toward service door. Julian. Then Isaiah appeared in frame, younger, in a maintenance uniform, tool bag in one hand, moving toward the alarm panel instead of away from it. He was not hiding. He was not stealing. He was trying to open the door. The footage jumped. Dust or smoke blurred the lens. Isaiah dropped to one knee, working the lock with both hands. Julian's arm appeared through a narrow gap for 1 second. In his fist, the silver compass flashed. Then another shape crossed the far edge of the frame. A tailored sleeve. A company access card. Victor's card. Nobody breathed. Victor reached for the tablet. Evelyn caught his wrist before he touched it. Don't. One word. Public enough to break him. Victor's face hardened. That proves nothing. Isaiah knew where to go because he was involved. Isaiah finally looked at him. I knew where to go because somebody was trapped behind a door and everybody upstairs was busy protecting the people who locked it. The sentence stood in the room without needing to shout. The lawyers who had called him a claimant stared at the screen. The executives who had watched his split boots cross their marble floor looked away first. Then Julian's voice returned through the speakers, barely above breath. Find a man who hears the door. Evelyn gripped the edge of the table. The compass was no longer jewelry. It was her son's last direction. It was Isaiah's burden. It was proof that the man they had tried to silence had spent 7 years keeping a promise he could not even fully remember. Evelyn looked at Isaiah, then at the phone still lit beside him with Naomi's crooked compass drawing. When she spoke, she did not speak to Victor. She spoke to the room. His name is Isaiah Brooks, and no one touches him, his daughter's records, or that necklace without my order. Isaiah did not smile. His eyes stayed on the screen, where Julian disappeared into static. I don't need protection, he said quietly. I need the truth left inside B-17. Behind Victor, the archive screen flickered again, and one final file began to load. The final file loaded, but it did not bring another explosion. It brought something quieter and worse for the people who had buried the truth. Administrator locks, altered access notes, and the draft of the headline that had smeared Isaiah before the boardroom had even finished questioning him. Victor Hale's name sat in the metadata like a fingerprint left on polished glass. No one shouted. No one needed to. Evelyn looked at the screen, then at the man who had been called homeless, claimant, thief, and extortionist while her own company's walls had been doing the lying. "Remove him from this room," she said. Security moved toward Isaiah by habit. Evelyn's voice cut sharper. "Not Mr. Brooks. Victor." For the first time all afternoon, Victor had no clean sentence ready. The door closed behind him without drama, and somehow that made it heavier. Isaiah stood beside the table, one hand near the compass, the other near Naomi's medicine, as if his body still could not decide which promise needed him most. Evelyn picked up the silver compass with both hands. She did not keep it. She placed it back in front of Isaiah, slowly on the glass. "This was never ours to use against you." Isaiah looked at it for a long moment. "It was your son's, and he trusted you with it." The words almost broke her, but she did not make the room comfort her. Instead, she turned to Mara Ellison. "Call family court. Call Mrs. Delaney. Send them the access log, the footage, the retraction, and a signed statement from me before Mr. Brooks leaves this building." Mara hesitated only once, then reached for her phone. That was Evelyn's apology. Not tears, not money, not a speech, but paperwork finally moving in the direction it should have moved years ago. Isaiah's cracked phone lit again. A video call. Mrs. Delaney's face appeared first, careful and official. Then Naomi leaned into the frame, blue jacket still zipped, eyes red from waiting. Isaiah lifted the phone with hands that had opened broken doors and carried too much silence. "Daddy," Naomi whispered. Isaiah tried to smile. "I'm here, baby." Her eyes dropped to the compass on the table. "Did you forget the way?" The boardroom went still around a child's question. Isaiah looked at Julian's silver compass, then at Naomi's crooked drawing glowing on the phone. "No," he said softly. "I had to stop and make sure the road was honest." Naomi did not understand all of it. She only nodded because his voice sounded like home. Evelyn stepped back so she would not become the center of that moment. The executives who had stared at Isaiah's boots now looked at the floor. Isaiah placed the compass beside Naomi's drawing on the screen, two small maps, pointing one father back to his child. "My daughter doesn't need powerful people to call me good," he said. "She needs the truth to stop calling me bad." Later, the public correction would go out. Victor would face investigators. Julian's case would reopen. Isaiah's custody review would no longer begin with a headline written by men who feared him. But in that room, the real justice was smaller, a father allowed to be seen by his daughter without shame standing between them. Have you ever been misunderstood while trying to do the right thing? Would you have signed the lie to protect your child for one more day, or stayed for the truth no matter the cost? Leave where you're watching from, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. Isaiah slipped the compass back under his shirt, lifted Naomi's medicine from the table, and walked toward the elevator with his back straight, while the tower behind him finally felt smaller than the man it had tried to crush.